Hello and welcome to our weekly news programme Winchester Now. I'm Mary Blaxland. On today's programme, the fight to save local community transport, remembering Ukraine at a vigil in the Abbey Gardens, the latest sellout show at the Chesil Theatre, and happy 5th to the Chat Tea Café. We joined their birthday celebrations. Winchester Radio. The clock is ticking for people to have their say on plans to cut some services funded by Hampshire County Council, with the deadline at the end of this month. The authority says it faces a £132 million budget shortfall by April 2023. Withdrawing funding for community transport services is among the proposals. In Winchester, Community First operate a dial-a-ride service from the Brook Shopping Centre, which relies on support from the County Council. I spoke to Transport Coordinator Mark Skellen.
We offer a dial-a-ride service which covers the Winchester Council tax area, so people can register, and then once they've registered they can ring up and request a journey or a trip to a local supermarket, to their dentist, to their doctors, or just to friends to get together. We also offer a bus service to local church groups, community church groups, and certain groups that support elderly people with mobility issues, or not with mobility issues, just to get out and about and to meet up with friends, etc.
How much of a demand is there for this service?
Oh, there's a huge demand. I mean, we've probably got over 200 people registered. People register more all the time. So yeah, I think there's a huge need in the area. And we need to get the word out there even more, because there are, I think, people out there that are not sure that what services exist. If we can get the message out there, we'll have even more people that want to use the service, which is really important.
And you were telling me earlier about some of the stories about the people who use the service and the difference it makes to them. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, we've got people that live certainly out in the outlying areas that travel to supermarkets with us in groups. It helps with, obviously, mental health is really important. It helps with their mental health, with their mobility challenges that they've got. And also, we offer a little bit more once we take people to supermarkets or doctors or wherever. We support them if they have mobility issues. And equally, we can help them in with their shopping, and we'll keep an eye out for them in the community as well. When we go out to connect people up and they don't, for a reason, they don't answer the door or whatever, we'll speak to neighbours just to make sure that they're okay. That's all part of the service.
But the service is facing challenges ahead with the cutbacks proposed by Hampshire County Council. How worried are you about the future?
Oh, we are very concerned. I mean, what will a lot of these people out in Winchester, what will they do for shopping? What will they do for dentists, doctors' appointments, meeting friends? They're very concerned about those issues. Yeah, we are too. It's very important. I don't know what these people will do if the service doesn't carry on.
And what would you say to people? Obviously, the consultation is still ongoing. What would you say to people?
Oh, certainly go online and certainly fill out the forms. We rely on people to be telling the council how important that service is for them and to keep it going and the reasons why. It's important to them, it's important to us.
What happens if those cuts go ahead? What will happen to this service?
Well, if the cuts go ahead, we are obviously looking to try to support the service in other ways financially, which is also, it's going to be a huge challenge. But if the service disappeared completely, it would be awful for people. Just a few comments. We were looking for comments from the community and just a few words from a few of our clients who use the service. One person said massively, it's a difference between me being able to go out and shopping and being imprisoned indoors. I've no other options. Another gentleman said, unable to go shopping on my own, so no social interaction with fellow passengers, bus driver, etc. I rarely see people. There's just a couple of reasons why these people need this service so much. And I have many comments from many people, very, very similar comments, why the service should continue.
It really is a lifeline to people, and I suppose one message to get across is that you are still running at the moment. Despite everything that's going on, you are still running.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. You can look online and contact us. You can register with us. The service will continue at full speed ahead. Yeah, come and register with us. We see what we can do for you, see how we can support you going forward, definitely.
Mark Skellen talking to Winchester Now. Well, the County Council says with rising costs and demand in vital areas, our funds don't stretch as far as they used to. We're left with the very difficult decision of what services we continue to deliver in future if we're to ensure we keep supporting those who desperately need our help the most. such as children at risk of harm, adults and children with disabilities and additional needs, and higher numbers of older people with very complex social care needs. Visit hants.gov.uk to have your say.
Now for some of the other stories in the news this week, I'm Ron Venturi. An extra consultation event on the future of the Royal Hampshire County Hospital has been organised because of public demand. A meeting at Hope Church next Wednesday booked up so quickly that hospital bosses have laid on another event, this one at the Guildhall on Saturday the 2nd of March at 2 p.m. There's just over 2 weeks left now for people to have their say on the proposals, which include building a new hospital at Basingstoke, renovating Winchester Hospital and replacing the Winchester A&E facility with an urgent care centre. Details of the consultation events are on the Hampshire Together website. Council leaders have met with Southern Water to demand answers after a number of problems with water supplies over the past 2 years. In January, thousands of homes in the city were left without water after a problem at the Easton Works. The leader of Hampshire County Council, along with those of other local authorities, met with the Chief Executive of Southern Water, Lawrence Gosden. The company told councillors it's doubling its investment to improve facilities and its performance for customers. Winchester University is offering 6 new scholarships to students who are leaving care. They are open to young people starting an undergraduate degree and would allow them to live rent-free for 3 years. It's the result of a new partnership between the university and the Unite Foundation, a charity which supports care leavers. Winchester already provides bursary support packages for students leaving care. And the history of Shawford Railway Station has been revealed in new display boards. They include photos of the station from the 19th century and its claim to fame in 1974, when it featured in a remake of the classic film Brief Encounter, starring Sophia Loren and Richard Burton.
People gathered in the Abbey Gardens last Saturday night to remember Ukraine, 2 years since the outbreak of war. People from the city stood side by side with those from Ukraine who have made Winchester their home. A candlelit vigil was held with many wearing or waving the Ukrainian flag. There was a minute's silence, the Ukrainian national anthem was sung and prayers were said. Earlier, a commemoration day was held at the Ark, organised by the Winchester Ukrainian Cultural Association.
I'm Yulia Dubovik.
I'm Olena Hrebenyuk.
And my name is Olga Ronil.
Thank you. What does it mean to you that so many people have turned out today?
It's mean the world for us, actually. The preparation for this event, for the vigil, and actually more, it's about event in the library. So it was so hard, like emotionally hard, because we watched so many videos just to put everything together, and we cried every evening. Sometimes we were together, and sometimes we do it on Zoom, but still we're all crying. It's not only about things we lose, people we lose, but it's about hope, which we still have, about our power, our strength to fight not only in Ukraine or where the soldiers fight, but fight on our own front. Here, we are fighting for Ukraine too, because we want to tell people as much as we can about Ukrainian culture, about Ukrainian way of living, about our values, and about all that supports we really need. And it's amazing how many British people came. It's an honor to represent Ukraine to British community, because so much love, so much support we've got from your community, from Winchester community. Every flag, every sign in the window where I call Winchester Stand with Ukraine, we notice it. We feel so grateful for this. We feel so confident that we can step further, do something, and leave. And we're really grateful for this.
Yeah, and I would like to add also, the event was designed to remind that war is still going on, because sometimes we were asked question, is the war still going in Ukraine? We understand that people maybe are tired of those bad news, but it's still going on, so we are not going to forget it, and we're really so grateful for all the support. People coming here, and our hosts, they became our friends now.
What are your thoughts 2 years on?
I want to say about why we do this event. It is important for us to keep fighting, to keep hold our culture, because this war, it's not only 2 years, it's not only 10 years. It is 100 years. Russian Federation was aggressive for Ukraine. Hundreds. Yeah, it was Soviet Union, and it keeps going hundreds and hundreds years. And that is why we should get together and provide our culture and keep our culture for our children, for their children. That is why we're together today and every day here in Winchester.
And the second thing we really want to do is we wanted to organize Ukrainian school on Sundays for Ukrainian children. We will teach Ukrainian language, Ukrainian history, because as some children arrived here 2 years ago, they were very small, and we really need now help them to understand their identity. So that is why we want to do this.
And it's very important today, isn't it, to have these candles, to say the prayers and to remember.
Yes. So it's amazing. It's amazing support we have every day. It's not only today. We feel this support every day, and we're grateful for this.
Thank you very much for talking to me. Thank you very much.
I'm Councillor John Tippett-Cooper from Winchester City Council.
How important is it to have this vigil here today?
It's really important. In the last 2 years, Winchester has welcomed a growing Ukrainian community. We now have around 500 Ukrainian individuals in the district. They have brought so much to our community with their culture, their dance, their music, their poetry, all of which has been on incredible display today. But it is really essential to remember the reason why they've had to seek refuge in Winchester. And as the news cycle has moved on, particularly in the last few months, the awful situation that Ukraine is facing may be somewhat falling down the news cycle, and it really is essential that people remember what Ukrainians are suffering, what Ukraine is suffering, and what our community are having to endure vicariously with their family, with their friends who are still in Ukraine. So this event tonight brings us all together so that we can remember that, commemorate that, and support our Ukrainian community.
We've had a number of vigils like this now. It's so sad to think it's 2 years this has been going on.
It's unbelievable. I mean, this is the third time we've gathered in Abbey Gardens, and I think many of us prayed each year that we wouldn't be coming back again. Unfortunately, we're here again. The situation in Ukraine is not getting any better. In fact, if anything, it's getting worse. I think what we have seen today, and the message from the talks tonight, was that there is hope within the community, and that hope comes from the cultural events that the community are putting on, from the power of the personalities that we have in our Ukrainian community, and indeed the power of the personalities that there are in Ukraine. And we hope every day that their country returns back to peace. And what has been really, really wonderful to see is, I've been involved in trying to support the Ukrainian community in our host over the last couple of years. What has been extraordinarily heartening has been how the community in Ukraine have pulled together and supported each other, but also how the host families, many of the Ukrainian community we have here still living with British host families, and how they have created extraordinary bonds together. Those bonds, those relationships are absolutely fantastic, and I think they create a lot of positivity and a lot of hope amongst the community.
Now some other stories from around our city. A new service has been set up for victims of crime in Hampshire. 4 victim care hubs have been set up at police stations to provide emotional and practical support, as well as guiding people through the criminal justice process. The multi-million-pound scheme has been designed and funded by Police and Crime Commissioner Donna Jones, and it's the first time that police and victim support will work under one roof. The hubs are open to anyone at any time, and people do not have to report to police to access the service. A new pavilion at the King George V playing fields in Winchester is nearing completion. The £3 million project has been funded by Winchester City Council alongside grants from the Football Foundation. The new facility, which replaces 2 outdated pavilions, will offer 6 changing rooms and space for community use. It will officially open to the public later this spring. The council says the new pavilion will support the development and growth of grassroots sport in Winchester. The Body Shop in Winchester is to remain open. It's one of 116 stores to be saved after the firm went into administration. Meanwhile, 75 stores across the country will be closed over the next 4 to 6 weeks. The announcement was made by the company's joint administrators. And peregrine falcons Winnie and William have been spotted at Winchester Cathedral. The webcams were turned on a few weeks ago, ahead of the birds returning to their annual nesting spot. Bird expert Keith Betton has predicted the 15th of March as a likely date for the first eggs to be laid. Watch this space.
The Chesil Theatre launched a new writing festival in 2008 and had a handful of entries. 15 years later, it now attracts hundreds. Take 10 encourages playwrights to create a masterpiece lasting just 10 minutes. The 10 winning plays were performed last weekend in sell-out shows. Anna O'Brien went along and spoke to Flavia Bateson, the producer of Take 10.
This year we had over 250 entries. What we do is get our members to do the initial reading of the plays, and then we sift those down to 50 that we can give to our panel of independent judges who are all involved in drama, theatre professionally, and they finally choose the 10 that we're going to perform.
And I guess there's lots of practical things that have to be taken into account because the changes of set and the characters coming on for each new play. But there's such a brilliant variety. Having seen the performances myself today, you get such a great array of dramatisation. Some of them are very comedic, some of them incredibly dramatic, very thought-provoking.
Well, I think that's what the judges are aiming for, a balanced programme. Each time we run Take 10, we have a particular theme. And this year it was Snakes and Ladders, and it was interpreted in so many different genres of theatre, you know, from absurdist, from really, issues that are being thought about and talked about at the moment. It's that sort of thing, the broad array, broad spectrum of work that we can display in a 10-minute play.
And for this year's Take 10, with all the team at the Chesil Theatre, how much work goes into producing it from the point of view where you've decided on the 10 plays you're going to do and then bringing them to the stage?
Well, once we've chosen our 10 plays, then we have a reading at the theatre, and then we have auditions. We have ensemble auditions rather than going through the whole process for, 25 roles, I think. From that, we put our ensemble team together. They've all worked together phenomenally well, because one of the intrinsic parts of this project is that it is rehearsed in a very short time. A fortnight ago, for instance, Chesil Youth Theatre was in the theatre. Once they'd finished their performances, then Take 10 could take over and do a really intensive rehearsal period time, and really intensive for all our lighting and technical people, stage management and everything else. So it really has that hothouse feel about it.
And I think you touch upon one of the things that anyone who loves theatre appreciates, that so much work goes on, not just on stage, but behind the scenes as well. And you've got a very skilled professional team here at the Chesil Theatre, but you could always do with more volunteers to help.
We're always welcome new members, whether you want to be on stage, backstage, whether your interest is in technical theatre. There's a whole team, marketing, bar, front of house. We welcome new members all the time.
And a good opportunity to come and find out more are the open mornings that you usually hold on a Saturday, and I think that's the first Saturday of the month.
That's right. It's the first Saturday of every month. It's 10:30 to 12:30. Just come in, meet some members, learn about what we're doing, have a tour of our premises, which are very small, and just be part of the theatre and learn more about us.
And then the final thing I'm going to ask you, Flavia, and is putting you on the spot a little bit, because you've produced the Take 10. I know you've been involved with the Chesil Theatre for many, many years. What motivates you the most? Why do you love volunteering here?
I just like to see, we sometimes have people, and even in Take 10 here, people who have said, I haven't been on stage since I did some little drama piece at my school when I was 12, and then we run the whole gamut of people who maybe have done lots of work, but it's an opportunity for everybody to, just fulfil their ambitions, do their best, and obviously learn very much from each other, because it's a big project. It probably involves something like 60 or more people to bring this together.
Thank you so much for talking to us at Winchester Radio, and well done on a fabulous Take 10. Really enjoyed watching it.
Well, thank you very much, Anna.
It's that point of the show when I say it's time for this week's shout-out. And a round of applause firstly for the performers in this year's pantomime by the Hampshire Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust. Each year, doctors, nurses and other healthcare support staff at Basingstoke, Winchester and Andover hospitals put on a special show. It always boasts a hospital-themed twist on the classic, and this year The Sound of Mucus was performed at Basingstoke's Haymarket Theatre. Well, it's just been announced that the show in January raised an amazing £8,600 for the Hampshire Hospitals charity to invest in equipment, refurbishing patient areas, funding staff wellbeing initiatives and more. Now, Unit 12 in Winnell made an appeal on social media for volunteers to help clear up their garden last weekend. And they were overwhelmed with support. Enough people came to complete 2 days of work in just one afternoon. And thanks have been given to all the volunteers who picked up spades and shovels to help. Unit 12 is home to the food pantry as well as many community organisations. The site needed a clearing before contractors moved in to landscape the garden later this week. And they're not the only ones who've been hard at work. Volunteers from Kingsworthy Community Shed have made and installed a bug hotel at South Wonston's recreation ground. It was the idea of the City Council's biodiversity group with the support of the Parish Council. The wooden structure has been filled with materials to attract bugs and bees and hopefully bring interest to the local community. Finally, a special delivery has been made to the Winchester Basics Bank this week. Local Rotarians brought in 8,000 Easter eggs, which were surplus to seasonal requirements. They've been donated by Dorset warehouse company Silver Crane, who works with Rotary clubs across Wessex to donate the eggs to food banks and other charities to bring some joy this Easter. Our final shout out to them. I'm Paul Blitz, and we'll have more shout outs for you next week on Winchester Now.
Winchester Radio.
The Chat Tea Café was set up at Badger Farm Community Centre in 2019 and this week celebrated its 5th birthday. It was established as a free community cafe for the older generation who might be feeling isolated or lonely. It's really grown in that time and special friendships have been made. I went along to join the celebrations.
Shall we say 3 cheers for the Chat Tea Café? Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
A party at the Chat Tea Café with balloons, bunting and a special cake in the shape of a number 5. There's chatter as friends meet and newcomers are welcomed. Here's manager Sheena Webster. Firstly, tell me, what is the Chat Tea Café?
It is basically a free forum for people to come, mostly the elderly, to come and have a cup of coffee and a slice of cake. And they're not charged, but what they gain from it is coming to have conversations with like-minded people, rather than sitting at home alone.
And how have you seen it change over the 5 years?
Well, it has taken a long time, and it's basically word of mouth, because when we first started, you'd get something like 10 people. We try to advertise, but basically you cannot get any better than somebody going back to one of their neighbours and saying, I went along, why don't you come with me next time? And I think that's how it's grown.
There's around 60 people at this month's Chat Tea Café enjoying a free tea and coffee and delicious homemade cakes, but also each other's company. Some have been coming here since it started. I spoke to Yvonne, John, Hazel and Kenneth. How long have you been coming to the Chat Tea Café?
5 years.
What brought you along initially?
My sister, actually. She came before I did. I just lost my husband and she said it'd be somewhere to come, and it was. It was lovely.
What difference does it make to you being able to come here each month?
It's the friendship and the niceness, and the volunteers are so good. I arrived as a stranger and now I've become friends with loads of them.
And a special day today being its 5th birthday.
Yes, congratulations to the whole team.
John, how long have you been coming to the Chat Tea Café?
Probably about 4 or 5 months, I think. My son and his wife come and they put me onto it, really.
And what do you like about coming here each month?
Well, it's very nice to meet different people and get some cakes and tea and stuff. But just company. I mean, I live on my own, you see, so it's very nice to have company.
And Hazel, how long have you been coming to the Chat Tea Café?
From it opened 5 years ago.
What brought you along initially?
My husband wasn't well and had to go in a home, so it was company, and they're wonderful people, wonderful.
What does it mean to you to be able to come along here each month?
I look forward to it. I wake up thinking about it, not only for the lovely cakes we get, but yes, because you see people then that maybe you haven't seen all the year or that month or something, yeah.
And what would you say to encourage other people to come along?
I know it must be awkward, because I'm a person that can't just go off and go in somewhere. So I understand how it can be difficult, but no sooner getting one foot in the door, then that's it. That's good.
And how long have you been coming to the Chat Tea Café?
Since last July. I heard about it at Sainsbury's on the notice board. And my daughter said, you better get up there, because I lost my wife 3 years ago. Get out more, they said. So here I am.
And what's it like coming each month?
Very, very nice. The cakes are beautiful, the coffee, tea and all that sort of thing, and I enjoy it very much.
A good way to meet new people?
Yes, it is. Yes, it definitely is. I've met a few people here that got on with, because I was a postman in Winchester for 37 years. One or two recognise me still. I retired, so I've got a lot of time on my hand. But this is ideal. This is the thing for older people.
And like you said, it does make a difference to the people who come here, doesn't it?
It makes a lot of difference. They feel they're noticed, they feel part of a community, and it's that sitting in four walls, you lose track of yourself. So they come here and they actually make friends, and we've got one good example of two ladies, didn't know each other, both live on Badger Farm. One lived at one end, one lived at the other. They probably never crossed paths. They met, they talked, they chatted, and now been on holiday together.
That's lovely. And you've got celebrations here today for the 5th anniversary. What's going to be happening?
So one of our volunteers made a lovely cake in the shape of a 5. We've got a nice helium balloon there in shape of a 5. Basically, it's celebrating 5 years, because it was 2019 that we started. And we can't believe we're still here.
The cake was cut by local councillor Jan Warwick. The cafe has benefited from grants from the county and parish council. What do you think about the Chat Tea Café? You've come along for the 5th birthday.
Yeah, I've been to quite a few of them, so I've always supported this, and I've supported the very first cafe event 5 years ago with one of my county councillor grants, and it was just a couple of £100 to help them get underway, to pay for some cakes, some tea and coffee. And it's just been fantastic, and it's grown and grown every year since then.
You've been talking to people today. What have they said to you about it?
Well, it's just people just want to chat, which is what it's all about. So it's so interesting. There are people who are very local and people who've travelled from further away. There are people who remember the area, perhaps worked here, moved away, come back, making new friends. It's just fantastic, really positive.
And I know they're looking for more funding. Is the County Council going to be able to provide that with the difficulties you're facing?
You're right. So we don't formally support them, but where we can find grants, we will. And that's the whole idea of the local county councillor grant. It's quite small. I've got 9 parishes, but I'm able to help organisations keep going with small amounts of money each time, which is what it's all about.
The cafe meets on the last Monday of the month at the Badger Farm Community Centre between 2 and 4 p.m. And what for the future?
We will continue, because there is a need for everybody to get together and talk and just chatter and have a laugh. Everybody needs it.
Well done to the Chat Tea Café, and that's all for this week. My thanks to Paul, Anna and Ron, and thanks to you for listening. Goodbye until next week.
Thanks for listening to Winchester Now, a weekly roundup of stories from Winchester Radio. If you have a story to share with us, please let us know. You can drop us an email. We're news@winchester.radio, and you can follow us on social media. Just search for Winchester Radio.
Winchester Radio.